Welcome to Project You. This podcast explores how integrating changes into your day can produce the best in health, longevity, and performance. We've recruited experts from around the globe who unleash their wisdom to transform your world. Project You dives into how to live a fully optimized life and uncovers tools and techniques to unleash your maximum potential. You only get one shot at this life, so let's get started.
Welcome back. You made it. This is the final episode of 2015 of the Project You podcast, episode 41. In this episode, I'm going to be sharing some ways to hack your physiology in terms of holiday metabolism. It's challenging for all of us to maintain a healthy eating pattern, difficult habits. We've got parties and events and just delicious food everywhere you turn. It's really difficult. What I'm going to be sharing in this podcast are 4 or 5 of my top favorite ways to hack your body, hack physiology, and potentially boost your metabolism. I want to start, though, with just a short story, and it's a story about life. I've been involved in martial arts since high school. It's just something that's ingrained in the culture of my family and my friends. And it's interesting that in the ancient times, there were no black belts. There were only white belts. And the same concept applies to life. And so as a person trains in martial arts in the ancient times, the belt, through the years, through the experiences, would take on dirt, grime, sweat, take on the character and the experiences of that training, and eventually turn black, if you will. And the student would continue training and developing and learning. Just like in life, we're always learning, exploring, experimenting, failing, reiterating, trying again. The belt would start to break down and become white again. And so what I'm getting at is that there really are no failures. It's just a chance to learn a way that didn't work and to begin again or try something different. And the same concept applies to our health. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all deserve treats from time to time. And so let's jump into this episode. So the first thing is very simple. It's just pacing. It's just movement. The concept of sitting is the new smoking really rings true. The data really is clear that people who sit throughout the day, whether it's work or just habits or just, for whatever reason, just don't move, their mortality, their risk of dying really goes up dramatically. So just move around a little bit. Just pace, just stand at your desk, take breaks, walk, stretch, walk down the hall, walk down the steps. Just reward yourself with that little bit of extra movement that really stimulates your body, not only in terms of energy, but also just helps with stiffness and soreness. We're all guilty of poor posture, slumped over the computer or the phone or sitting at our desk. And so just to pace yourself throughout the day. The next is chronomorphologic eating. And I talked about this in a podcast a few days ago. In case you missed that, you may want to go back and listen to that episode. But by shifting the intake of carbohydrates to the later part of the day, we really have a much better ability to impact our metabolism and the likelihood of storing fat. So by starting the day, avoiding high carbohydrate intake and sort of shifting that back into the evening meal is not only a way to help with metabolism and to potentially stave off some of the weight gain, but also helps you sleep better, because as the carbohydrates are metabolized in the evening, you have less of the issues that may wake you up. I'm not advocating eating snacks and sweets before bed. I'm talking about eating it with the evening meal. And the physiology is there. The cortisol, which is a stress hormone, also plays a huge role in this. And so one of the problems that I often see in clinical practice and with my coaching clients are that they wake up, maybe they didn't sleep well, they're craving sugar, they're craving carbs. And so the easy thing is to reach for bagel, cream cheese, jelly, peanut butter, honey, toast, cereal, whatever. All that is very high in carbohydrates, spikes the blood sugar, signals the body that, hey, we better try and store some fat. We don't know what's coming. And so it just sets the whole tone of the day in terms of metabolism. I alluded to this already, is cortisol, the stress hormone cortisol. And so poor sleep is a huge driver of abnormalities in cortisol function. Also, stress level plays a huge role in that. So just learning to have some adaptive patterns in dealing with stress is really critical in terms of maintaining your metabolism. I advocate, exercise, even just simple walking. It doesn't have to be strenuous weightlifting or sprinting. Just the whole pure act of movement and getting the body, getting the blood flowing, and just taking a moment to unplug, get away from the phone, get away from the noise, the music, or if you're in a city, maybe put on some soothing ambient music, and just really reward yourself with a little bit of time for yourself. It's really critical to manage stress, not only in terms of a strategy for longevity, but also for maintaining body weight and dealing with some of the fluctuations in weight that can occur for some of us around the holiday seasons. The next is cold-induced thermogenesis. And this isn't for everybody. I totally admit this. This is just a biohack, a physiologic way to hack your body's ability to burn calories. And a simple way that I like to use is just to go for a short walk in the winter, because I live somewhere that's cold. And so you can take a short walk in just a short sleeve shirt, jeans, and shoes, and get cold, generate some shivering, which will burn heat. And so my wife joked with me this morning, we were out for a ski, and she said, who the heck is going to do that? And I said, it's totally, I get it. It's totally not for everybody. But for those that like to experiment and to like to try new things, cold-induced thermogenesis is just a simple way to ramp up burning of energy. Moving on to a simple supplement food product, if you will, cinnamon. I like to throw cinnamon in my coffee. It also comes in capsule form, which you have to be a little careful with because sometimes it may get stuck in the throat or upper part of the esophagus or lower part of the esophagus or stomach and can cause some burning and some displeasure or unpleasant sensation. So I like to just throw a teaspoon in the coffee or on occasion in some of the more spicy dishes that I prepare along with some turmeric. And it's a great way to stabilize blood sugar, particularly if you have a hard time avoiding those sweeteners in your coffee in the morning. Certainly consider maybe adding a little bit of cinnamon. Obviously, if you're allergic to it, don't. Caution against huge quantities of it. There have been, unfortunately, some deaths of kids screwing around with cinnamon, doing some cinnamon challenge where they ingest large amounts of cinnamon, which gets into the lung and causes a horrific inflammation and case reports of death. But anyways, in the coffee or the tea or as an ingredient in cooking, certainly has the power and the ability to stabilize blood sugar, which as blood sugar is stabilized, there's not the spikes of insulin. Everything is a little bit smoother, and the chance of storing fat diminishes. The last thing that I'm going to wrap up with today is just sleep. It's just really hard for many of us to get proper sleep, not only during the holidays, but throughout the year. We're busy with kids and school, work, jobs, travel, you name it. We all have stress. And the ability to sleep well is really the first step, in my mind, to restoring health. Sleep is the cornerstone. Dysregulation of sleep causes hormone problems, obesity, heart disease, risk of diabetes. The list of problems from sleeping poor is quite extensive, and it's often overlooked. And so just take a moment and think about sleep. What's your hygiene like for sleep? Give yourself some time to unwind at the end of the day, unplug from the devices, get the phones out of the bedroom, shut off the computer, the iPad, the TV, at least an hour before bed. Get that blue light, that electromagnetic stimulation away from yourself, and just let your body wind down and prepare to sleep naturally. So for those of you who want more on the sleep topic, as promised, I mentioned I'd be sharing something at the end of this week. You can head over to the blog at mitchellmd.com, and I've got a link there to my courses. I think you'll be very surprised at what you find when you land on that page with the courses. It's not something that I'm publishing or sharing other than to the podcast and those on the newsletter. It's going to go away just shortly after the first week of January, so I encourage you to check that out. And as I always, be safe, be well. I hope you had a fantastic 2015. And I'm going to be sharing the list of the top books that I've read this past year and why you might consider reading them too. Be safe, be well. Have a wonderful evening or morning. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.